morning and welcome to Atlantic Blowout on Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network. Here we hold conversation on special interest topics. We bring you news, events, and stories through our correspondent reports, expert opinions, and stakeholders analysis. On the show today, we'll take off with Anchor's charts as usual. Today on Anchor's charts, we have bring you Tinubu adopts capital punishment for kidnappers. This is coming from Primate, Ayodele. And on regional development, we have relocate NNPCL IOC's presidential amnesty program to Niger Delta. This is coming from a youth group. And in security, FCT police to adopt effective community partnership. On constitutional review, Nigerians' yearnings, aspirations will be fulfilled. That's coming from Agbase. On governance, Atiku President Sibika over state of economy. On regional development, the coalition calls for establishment of Northern Security Outfit. On humanitarian ministry, EFCC recovers 30 billion from former Minister Omar Farouk. On diverted fund, investigates alleged missing $3.4 billion IMF loan. This is coming from Serap. Our guest on the show is Reverend Nze O. Nze. He is joining us. He's a priest, but he's joining us as a public affairs analyst today. But before we take a quick break, I'd like to remind you that you and your loved ones can join us live from wherever you are in the world. All you need to do is log on to atlanticnetwork.tv, or you can log on to ATN Live, which is our app, or you need to download that from the App Store if you don't have that already, and do well to share with loved ones. Better still, log on to Facebook, Atlantic Television Network, and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, and join us live on the show. Your comments and feedbacks are a major part of today's show, and as always, so do well to let us know what you think about the conversation, your questions, and all that you have. We are here to take them. But we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll bring you Anchor's charts. Stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the
Welcome back to Atlantic Blowout, and it's time for Anchor's Chat, everyone. The leader of INRI Evangelical Spiritual Church, Primate Elijah Ayodele, has advised President Bola Tinubu to adopt capital punishment for anyone caught in the act of kidnapping. According to him, in a statement signed by his media aide, Osho Oluwatosin, the Primate Ayodele said, if the government is genuine about putting an end to the kidnapping menace, there should be immediate death of anyone guilty of kidnapping. He added that the terrorists need quick judgment in order to curb the act, but stated that if the government doesn't take actions promptly, insecurity will increase. Among the things Primate Ayodele said will happen if the government doesn't enact capital punishment for the kidnappers is the abduction of top government officials and those in the presidential villa. He also stressed the need for urgent attention. I think this should be the second part of the Primate Ayodele's message about people in authority in government, even in Aso Rock, being abducted. I think that should be common knowledge, that the possibility of that is clear. If you think back on the issues surrounding the FCT in recent time when it comes to insecurity, the audacity, the audaciousness of this act and how these guys operate without any fear of whose ox is God, if you may. So understandably, the possibility is there, because if you ask yourself what exactly protects the presidency, if you may, if a suicide bomber should find a way to, maybe swallow something and then gets into the presidency in the guise of anything and all of that. I don't know how much intelligence we have when it comes to security issues in this country, but I'd like to quickly go back to the major part of this conversation, according to him, which is capital punishment for kidnappers. In a sane society, in a sane world, in a world where people totally understand the impact of abduction or kidnapping, like of insecurity, basically, the impact of it to our economy, the impact of this to our national development, if you may, the presidency doesn't need at this point to declare capital punishment on anyone found caught in abduction or in any form of acts of insecurity, if you may. It is more like saying a thief is coming to your house, they already told you they will be there, and you are wondering what you should do, when you also have the time, because they've given you a notice to prepare yourself ahead of time to say, if they step in, this is what I'm going to do. I just want to point out quickly that a lot of persons might say, oh, but he's a man of God. Oh, he is a pastor. Why is he advising, urging the president to adopt capital punishment for kidnappers? Well, the truth is, the God who created the man of who created the man who is of good conduct, if you may, is also the God who created the man who is not of good conduct. So if at the end of the day, the man who decides that he doesn't want to be of good conduct, decides to use his opportunity or whatever position he occupies to become a danger to the society, then you have just said your life has no value. I have seen a lot of things in this country. I like to think back on the issue of Alu for instance, and then you ask yourself, what exactly did these young men do to deserve such mob attack, or if you make what the priest is calling capital punishment, death on the spot, when they are caught and all of that. And you discover that there is nothing close to that. They were not even given opportunity to be investigated. But today in Nigeria, we have criminal elements who have terrified, killed people, destroyed properties, abducted people, destroyed whatever is left of some families, if you may. And at the end of the day, we are told that they are reintegrated by the government of Nigeria. When you do things like that, what exactly are you telling those who are watching on the sideline? What exactly are you telling them? That you don't punish people when they commit crimes. You find a way to reintegrate them into the society, put them in the military, they begin to perform security tasks, if you may. And now, who is mocking who, if you may? So if capital punishment, death penalty, is what will send the direct message to these people that there is no home for you. You don't have a home run anywhere when it comes to if you're caught in certain acts of insecurity, then so be it. Taking it off from there to say that the National Assembly said they are doing a lot when it comes to managing a security situation, one of which is inviting the military hierarchy to have a discussion with them on the growing insecurity in the country, if you may, and all of that. I also hope that the committee in charge of this will begin to propose capital punishment. We have dilly-dallied in laws. We have pampered criminality, in all forms of criminalities in this country, to the point that it now stares us back in the face. How do you explain the fact that in 2022 or 2023, we were dragged into this name SIM registration? We're told it's for security reasons. The persons who did that are sitting pretty somewhere, making excuses how it works in his time, that's Issa Pantami, if you may, and how it's not working, how the security agencies are not using it. What exactly is the excuse? We have had people abducted at Kaduna, Abuja rail train attack. People died, people were abducted, and for over 100 days, ransom was being paid. Who received this ransom? Where are these people? We have had people, do things that are literally questionable, but at the end of the day, they sit pretty as maybe as vice president and all of that. Where is Kabiru Sokoto, for instance, today? Where are all those who have seemed to escaped from Kuje prison, for instance? What exactly is happening when it comes to punishing crimes and criminality in Nigeria? So generally speaking, I think the government of Nigeria needs to go back to the drawing table when it comes to the punitive measure outlined for people, not just abductors this time, but people who commit heinous crimes in this country. We have pretended that these things are not a big deal or not. I remember the governor saying he doesn't know, he cannot sign the death penalty of someone. But hey, the person who don't want to sign his or her death penalty has been killing people. So what moral or right or authority would anyone have to say, you who have killed should not be killed? If you wish somebody death and actually carried out the act itself, what right do you have to leave if there is a law in a given situation to say that the person shouldn't leave, if you may, whether spiritual or physical laws, like man-made laws, if you may. So I honestly agree that there should be capital punishment. Maybe we need to go back to that. And of course, the legal processes too is another actually here we have when it comes to consequence management on crimes and criminalities in this country. And that also tells you that if we can critically look back at the issues and ask ourselves, how have we fared as a people? Where have we gotten it right? Where are we not getting it right? It clearly tells you that when it comes to management of crime in terms of consequence management for crime in this country, we are failing woefully. And that is why you have the audacity for a government to say you are bringing people that have terrorized humans for years, destroyed homes for years, and you're reintegrating them back into the society. And while you're reintegrating them, you are now putting them into the military. It's become a part of the military process. A lot of these things don't make sense. I'd like to ask the Nigerian government, where is the Chibok girls? Where are the Chibok girls? What has happened to that story? Where is Leah Shaibu? Where are all the little girls who were taken away from their homes? And then you look at us in the face today. Those parents are still mourning. They are still left helpless. No proper explanation, no compensation, nothing. Yet, somebody wakes up, decides that the best way to manage insecurity in this country is to have humans have committed heinous crimes, destroyed communities. Look at the issue in Plateau State. Look at the issue in all the northeast states, if you may, and then somebody wakes up and says, what you want to do is to ensure you give them amnesty and all of that. And then you have the police parading people, and after parading them, just like the one in Port Harcourt here, oh, they were let go. Oh, the police says they are still in custody, and all of those conversations. But if we are sincere, but I totally agree with Kamet Ayodele here, if we are sincere, and I don't think sincerity should mean you waiting whether that was prophecy or just a word of advice he's giving to the presidency or the government of Nigeria, saying If you don't do anything about the insecurity situation, if you don't begin to use capital punishment as a punitive measure, what happens is that they are going to come for you even in Aso Rock. And I don't even doubt that for a moment. So the long and short story is, if we can be comfortable reintegrating those who killed others, no court judgment, no punitive measure of any kind, you reintegrate them, house them, use taxpayers' money to accommodate them, and then you bring them back as military officials, put them into the military, send them to be trained as military officers. I'd like to ask, what happens to the families who have been hurt in the process? What exactly are we trying to tell those who would want to commit crime or get involved in any form of criminality tomorrow? There are no punitive measures, and even if there are, there's no consequences for it. So, and because there are no consequences for it, people feel like they can continue to operate as bandits, insurgents, if you may, or herders, and then kill other people, destroy their farms, do whatever they want to do, because there is no consequence management that exists in this country. So we have all these laws. Should we begin to look back at the laws? What exactly should be the responsibility of the National Assembly? For them to look back at the laws and ask themselves, are we going to look at the issue of capital punishment? Are we going to say, no, there's no point for this, that anyone caught in the act of bombing or any form of criminality, no questions asked, evidence abound that you committed this crime, you do the time. Capital punishment, death penalty. And I think we have become too sentimental. I don't know if this is what democracy is about, or if there's something else that is wrong with us as a people. But at this point, what we are doing to ourselves is destroying whatever is left of the fabric of our nation as a people, in terms of unity, in terms of security, and its impact development. And I believe that the government of Nigeria needs to begin to look at this in a fresh conversation on the act of capital punishment and all of that. If you talk about the abuse of rights of humans, by not giving them fair hearing, if you may, I also like to ask the person who is, proposing the rights of criminals or abductors should be respected. Did they respect the family of Kadria, whose 6 daughters and himself was abducted, and they killed the very first daughter, Nabiha? Did they respect the family of little Folashade Ario, who was abducted alongside her mother and other siblings, and then she was murdered, a 13-year-old girl? What exactly is her crime? Did they respect the families of others that they've been abducting over the years, or bombing and attacking communities, who have been respected in this process? So I honestly believe that the Nigerian military need to begin to have some sane conversation on subject matter. The Nigerian National Assembly need to also revisit conversation on subject matter. I also sincerely believe that all elements of government at all levels need to come to the drawing board to say, if you are caught in the act of abduction, this is what should happen to you. There should be capital punishment. No stories attached, no temper justice with mercy, and all of those conversations. The likes of Evans, for instance, shouldn't be sitting pretty in a cell. These are the things that can serve as a deterrent. You use somebody for money rituals, you go in, your head goes in for it. If you think another person does not deserve to live, then you also do not deserve to live. I mean, you could call it a tit for tat, you could call it the law of Moses in action, or whatever you want to call it. But I think the idea of capital punishment should become a major conversation that we all should get involved in and begin to query some of the excesses of government and some of the nonchalance of government when it comes to managing security. And to just wrap this up real quick, I also want to say that when it comes to security, there's been call for, Makinde last week was talking about community policing, where the government can take care of that. We had a guest who said, have they been able to manage to take care of their basic, like paying salaries when due, aside when due, and all of that? Well, I don't know, but I'm also going to ask, what is the essence of this security vote that is being distributed amongst the governors at the end of every month? What do they use it for? If their communities cannot be protected. And there's been several calls for, one of the things we're going to talk about today is the fact that Arewa Economic Forum is calling for regional police, regional security apparatus, like the Amatekun, the Southwest. Well, Will this be a way to manage the security situations in Nigeria? I have no idea. But one thing is for sure, we almost agree that there is need to make a drastic turn, take drastic measures to ensure that whoever is caught committing any crime or criminality or abduction and all of that, they know that no question asked, as long as the evidence proves it, you're being put on the firing squad. Also, I also think that the National Assembly needs to go back to the drawing board and let's ask critical questions and demand for the accurate answers. What exactly has happened to the name SIM policy that cost Nigerians a lot, that took a lot from us, taxpayers' money and all of that, if today we cannot begin to talk about using that to manage our security? Also, there's also need for the government of Nigeria to begin to ask the Ministry of Interior, for instance. Jojo came in, I don't know his state, with all the investigations around him right now. Begins to talk about the need for consolidated national database. Now, can we begin to have conversation and make demand from the Interior Ministry for this? And also to go back to the Ministry of Digital Economy to say, where are you with this NIM measure to ensure that there's proper security? These things are not rocket science. What is what? Nigerian government, this is 2024. These things are not rocket science. This is something basic that the average young person in ICT should be in position to manage, to see that we have consolidated data, national database, and then particularly using the SIM. I mean, it is a bit reprehensive, if you may, that someone can literally make a cellular call to another person and he or she cannot be traced or identify where they are, to ensure that they are caught and prevented from destroying another person's life. Long story short, it's time for us to have a total overhaul on our security apparatus and begin to ask a pertinent question. What should be the actual punitive measure meted out to those who are caught in abduction and all forms of criminality in this country? And that's been Anchor's Chat. Come back to you after the break.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
on them. They are not picking our calls. They
on the property rights reform. So no agreement with the EU, but
lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history,
We are one people, all of us.
leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human trafficker.
Honorable
You're a human trafficker.
on them. They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back to Atlantic Blowout, everyone, and we have the very Reverend Nze live in the studio with us. Good morning, and good to have you.
Good morning.
Beautiful Monday morning.
Good morning, Nigerians, and expect a better day ahead.
Absolutely.
Because hope does not disappoint.
I totally agree with you. Now let's go from the Niger Delta. In Niger Delta group, the Isoko National Youth Assembly urged the federal government to relocate the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, International Oil Companies, and Amnesty Office to the Niger Delta. The group, in a press statement on Sunday, signed by its president, comrade Eniwake Orogun, said, "We align with the federal government's decision to relocate the Department of Banking Supervision of the CBN and the head office of the FAN from the FCT to Lagos State." He said, "There is absolutely nothing out of place to decentralize functions and departments of the government given the federal structure of the nation and the expansive information technology available today. Lagos State, for instance, hosts the head offices of more than 97% of the banks in Nigeria. Also, you can fly from Lagos to anywhere in Nigeria, giving it that pivotal status for both domestic and international flight routes. And if, for administrative effectiveness and efficiency, the headquarters of FAN needs to be there, it is most welcome." He said, "We are by this statement urging the government to apply the same principles and swiftness to relocate the NNPC and Amnesty Office to the Niger Delta. We want them to also put policies in place to compel the IOCs and allied companies to relocate their corporate headquarters to the Niger Delta where the drilling activities take place. It is an aberration that the head offices of oil companies are outside the Niger Delta region, denying the people both the employment and developmental benefits derivable from having these natural resources in their environs. The Niger Delta is the epic center of oil exploration in Nigeria, which has made it a principal economic contributor to the Federation. The revenue on which the national budgets are predicated are sourced from the oil and gas exploration in the Niger Delta. So, a call for the relocation of the administrative seats of these critical resources to the very place where they are explored is not only in the best interest of the people, but also to the nation as a whole. A relocation, he said, would also help in assuaging the feelings of exploitation and neglect of the people whose lands have been taken away from them, who suffer the pollution and environmental degradation arising from oil exploration activities. He said, "How does relocating an agency of government for efficiency and effectiveness threaten northern political and economic viability, as asserted by the Arawa Youth Consultative Forum?" Emiwaka said, "How many bank headquarters are in Abuja? The truth is nothing will happen if the government goes on with its plan. The sky will not fall because the body is spent on clogging the wheels of progress." In any case, a former CBN Governor Sanusi Lamido Sanusi and many others from the same region as Arawa Youth Consultative Forum have seen the bigger and better picture and have aligned themselves with the decision of the federal government. Okay, but let's talk about the Niger Delta, the NNPC, IOC's Presidential Amnesty Program to headquarters to be relocated to the Niger Delta. This is not the first call. This has been a constant call by Niger Delta, different Niger Delta groups. Somehow that seemed not to have yielded any results. But on the background of the relocation of the CBN and other facilities now, the Niger Delta Youth Assembly is saying, please do what is good for the goose or the gander, because we are the ones who seem to be laying the golden eggs. We shouldn't be left out of the drive for regional development. I'd like to have your take.
It is very simple, and as it ought to be. It is said that he that must go to equity must go with a clean hands. And if you see what the President Bola Tinubu is doing now, trying to, excuse me, put square peg in a square hole, in some of his policies anyway, you see that it is a right step in the right direction. Because if you look at the CBN and the more chunk of the bank's headquarters, they're in Lagos. Why will you move the headquarters of CBN to Abuja? Simply for federal capital purposes or what? You should be able to let people be in their place of occupation, in their place of assignment for effective performance and all that. And if he has, in his wisdom and wisdom of his administration, decided to move CBN and the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria to Lagos, That's the right step in the right direction. Anybody who is shouting foul is really not getting it right. It is either the person has ulterior motive of denying the effectiveness of the manpower in that field of work, or the person is simply being shallow-minded. So coming to what Isoko Youth President is saying, I think he is saying what is right. This thing is long overdue, and I believe that the president presently will not ignore this call, because this call is not just coming from Isoko Youth Assembly. No, this call is coming from all Nigerians. Move the headquarters of all NNPC and all the IOCs to Niger Delta. Let these people be close to their place of operation. Why will you carry them to Lagos, carry them to Abuja, and the place of the operation is kept? That is what is delaying development in this place. I don't know if you have taken your time to go to the riverine areas within Niger Delta. You pity the people, honestly. Sometimes when I see some of them coming to complain over trivial issues, I begin to wonder, look, you who lives in the slum, who drinks water from the same place you defecate, should be able to tell those who are coming to drill oil from your front, from your backyard, from all over your place. They should be able to develop this place. We have other countries that have oil. Go to United Arab Emirates, go to other nations. You see the way their oil have helped to develop them. In fact, Niger Delta states supposed to be more developed than Abuja, honestly, to be on a true note. So we are also joining our voices with this president of Isoko Youth Assembly to call on Mr. President and those who are working with him to please restore the headquarters of these oil facilities to Niger Delta and let them help develop Niger Delta. In fact, if oil exploration ceases in Nigeria and Niger Delta fails to develop, posterity will not forgive this generation, honestly.
Now, speaking of development of the Niger Delta, let's not, because of time, let's not go too much into the PIB, which has been a major concern, because several groups have also called for a review of certain items in the PIB, petroleum industry bill. But let's even leave that on one side and look at some of the critical factors. We had some of these IOCs here a few years ago, but the issue of insecurity was one of the things that drove them away, according to them. I bring that to bear that Shell has already sold off, if you may, to other companies. We also talk about the NLNG, for instance, extending what they're supposedly doing in Bonny, or expanding what they are doing in Bonny and bringing it further into other parts of the Niger Delta. We have all of these companies who know drilling from the Niger Delta. However, the issue of insecurity and the role that the natives have also played, if you ask yourself, for instance, this has contributed a lot to the status quo, if you may, but put that on the side and then ask yourself, the Niger Delta state received a 13% derivative, unlike other states. If the problem, because he said that when you bring back the IOCs, they are going to develop the Niger Delta by ensuring that the people are fully employed and well articulated in the process of the operations of these organizations. What have they done with the 13% derivative to show that, indeed, the reason why the Niger Delta is not developed is because they are not getting enough? I ask a quick critical question on this to say, where can we find a specialist hospital for a pediatric, a specialist hospital in the Niger Delta, where a child with cancer, skin cancer, for instance, which is a major prevailing health issue in this region, can be taken to? Where is the specialist, particularly specialist hospital built by any of the Niger Delta governors that says, okay, this is where a woman who wants to do her cancer screening, for instance, or any of these issues, where can we find a major technological hub in the Niger Delta where we can say, okay, this is what has been done with this 13% derivative? So making it look like, because the IOCs are not here, that is why the Niger Delta is not developed, and put it side by side with the 13% derivative they receive and what has been done with that in terms of development. How do we begin to blame the government, all these oil services, IOCs, for not being here?
When we begin to blame the government, when we begin to blame the IOCs and all that, you discover that it seems as if they work as a team. both the politicians, the IOCs, they seem to do the same thing for themselves. You discover, you'd have just asked what they do with the 13% derivation.
Yeah.
And you discover that the money is coming, those in government are embezzling it, and nobody is asking questions. Now look at it. The same tricks that Shell used in Niger Delta is what our politicians are using against us. Now look at it. Shell will come and divide you. Brother versus brother, put enmity among you, begin to sponsor one to kill one. Why two of you are fighting? They are taking your oil. So you see that the politicians are also coming to do same. When they see that this group are pressing too much, if I make my voice stronger than this in demanding for this 13% derivation, you see that they will begin to set up some people against me. Before you know, they will arm one court group or the other. And they will begin to fight themselves, and people will concentrate on the fight, and they will lose sight of the sponsor. So, and the government know this. The truth is that Nigeria government has not been sincere to Nigerian people. The successive governments of this country have not been sincere. Take it from Azikiwe. When Gowon took over from Azikiwe, he accused Azikiwe of corruption. And when Murtala Mohammed took over from Gowon, he accused Gowon of corruption. Obasanjo, they killed Murtala Mohammed. Obasanjo took over. And he said that he would right the wrongs that Murtala did. And when Shagari came, in fact, he almost locked up most of Obasanjo contemporaries. And when Buhari came, he said, this guy was corrupt. Why do we continue in blame game? Up till today, Tinubu government, who was the head of APC, National Party, last administration, is now coming to blame that same administration that he was part and parcel. The administration, he said that when you people finish, it is now my turn. And he was involved in everything of that administration. He's now coming to tell us that they inherited bad economy. Just blame game. Why are we like this? Can't Africa be good for once?
So if the federal government should look at, because the youth, Isoko Youth Group, another group that may have called for this, like we said, the 13% derivation being given to this region every month as a allocation, nobody seemed to be able to account for what it was. A few years ago, it would have cost about 32 billion or thereabout to build a pediatric specialist hospital for children.
Okay.
Those for the the dollar in rates and all of these issues we have right now. Yes, at that point we had the Niger Delta Development Commission, and when the investigation was going on, which is part of what we're still asking, where is the forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission to date? Now, if the youth groups are more interested, when they talk about regional development, and they're more interested in saying relocate these companies. However, why are we not talking about the funds in the Niger Delta Development Commission that over the years, nobody has been able to account for? When it was in the news where we're hearing how this person looted 800 million, how this person looted this, and up till today, off your mic, Akpabio is on the Senate president. He's not able to account for any of this. Nobody in the Niger Delta Development Commission has been able to account for anything. What is the Niger Delta Ministry? All of these are steps that the government of Nigeria at some point, whether sincere or not, have put in place to ensure for Niger Delta regional development. So if the youth are more interested in this company, why are they not interested in what the governors are doing with their monthly allocation in terms of that should bring about development? Why they're not asking questions about the Niger Delta Ministry and the Niger Delta Development Commission? Because these are institutions put in place to ensure that this region is developed. Why is this not a major concern for them?
The youths are asking questions.
Okay.
But the question is, can they get close to the people to whom they demand accountable, from whom they demand account? They can't get close. Now look at, you just cited the example of someone now who was corrupt, and his administration was corrupt when he was at the helm of affairs of NDDC, and he's a Niger Delta man.
He's a Senate president.
And now he became a president through the back door. And I mean, he became a senator, a senator through the back door.
How do you mean?
Unconstitutional means.
Okay.
And today he is the Senate president. Do you know, am I now justified by my claim in this same station long ago that everything about Tinubu government is corruption? Because look at the man who accused that he didn't do well. In fact, he even came up to tell us that we shouldn't judge him by his past. Well, as the head of NDDC, that we should judge him by his past as a governor of Akwa Ibom State. But we say no, you will not tell us how to judge you. But looking at that, you see how these things are going. Nobody can ask questions. If you raise your voice, they will come against you. They will come after you. Okay, look, you are talking about building a pediatric hospital and all that. Look at the moribund that Governor Wike built in Port Harcourt, the moribund mother and child hospital. You see how money was wasted in that place, and that place is kept now. What is happening there? What is its use and benefit to people of Rivers State? Look at Wike spent 8 years here. Yes, we clap for him for building the overhead bridges. We clap for him. But what else? Where is human capital development? All the people that Amechi sent on scholarship abroad, Wike brought them home. All the schools where Amechi built, Wike left them to grasses. Then they were covered with bush. And reptiles now begin to occupy classrooms that children are supposed to occupy. All the health centers, at least, I attested to that. That when I was in a certain village, I took there was a woman that was somehow, the child was sick. I took that woman and the child to the primary health care. And the services that they rendered there were perfect. And Wike came and allowed all these things to go into extinction. And today, that same man is the choice of Mr. President, who will better the Federal Capital Territory. Okay. You can just imagine. So the youths who are crying are helpless. But look at the truth is this. This earth is of the Lord and the fullness thereof. There is always an extent to where man can reach. When they get to a certain level, God will come in. And when God steps in, it will shock you that even the people you think are helpless can begin to assume help for themselves. And heaven will support them. And when that happens, other African nations will begin to shout, hey, what is happening in Nigeria? What is happening? Let them keep going on. And we are watching.
Okay. We can bring you the conversation on our path. Now, the House of Representatives says they are confident in the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Benjamin Okezie-Kalu's ability to deliver on his mandate as the Chairman, House Committee on Constitution Review. Recall that the House had constituted a committee headed by Kalu with experienced lawmakers as members to look into various proposals and agitations for the alterations and amendments of the 1999 Constitution. In a chat with newsmen in Kano State on Sunday, the deputy spokesperson of the House, Honorable Philip Agbese, said over time the National Assembly had made attempts to review the 1999 Constitution with the aim of amending some clauses and give it the 21st century life it deserves. Some of the times the Parliament succeeded and some of the times the committee failed. Even in the dispensations that the committee succeeded, some amendments have suffered rejections at the various houses of assembly in states, while some of the few clauses have managed to scale through are fast calling for a repeal or total overhauling. But with the Deputy Speaker, His Excellency Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu on the driver's seat of the Constitution Review Committee of the 10th House of Representatives, Nigerians should go to bed and rest with the assurance of waking up the next day to the realization of their yearnings and aspirations. The Honorable Benjamin Kalu-led committee, he said, would collate opinions and liaise with various stakeholders, civil society organizations, government agencies, multilateral and supranational agencies, as well as traditional rulers, women groups, and private business minds who jointly drive the nation's economy to ensure a wholesome amendment to the Nigeria's law book. So already, there are about 40 bills at various stages in the National Assembly seeking for the amendment of the 1999 Constitution. Some seek to address issues of gender inequality, traditional institutions, local government autonomy, fiscal federation, and others. He said with the determination of Kalu-led committee and the assurance that the committee would round up by December 2025, he said, I urge the stakeholders and proponents of those bills to work closely with their representatives and the committee to enable it deliver on mandate and time. Agbese said Kalu is a man reputable for integrity and all-inclusiveness and would definitely attend to the agitations of those seeking amendments to the nation's law book. All right, this sounds sweet, endearing, if you may, on the letters of the words written therein. However, we are concerned that we have had several similar conversations, but he's projecting Benjamin Okeze Kalu as a man who is reputable for inclusiveness. Now, saying people should go to their representatives and calling on the citizens' office right now, not to just relax, but to ensure they participate in this. How critical is it for the office of the citizens to wake up to this need for constitutional amendments, considering that it's been a long overdue conversation now that the House is looking into it?
The truth is that Honorable Philip Abaze has spoken well. But you know, in Nigeria, we are not looking out for those who know how to speak. Again, we are looking forward for those who know how to do. When you talk, you do what you have talked. When you speak, you back your speech with action. That is what we are looking at. Now, presenting Carlo as a qualified person to handle this constitutional amendment is one thing. Another is, to what extent are you bringing the people whom you are making laws for into the front burner? To what extent are you bringing them? Or are you just doing your thing when you finish? Because if you look at what he says, how can a clause that was amended in the 9th Assembly be calling for a repeal in the 10th Assembly? How can that happen? Which means the 9th Assembly amended a clause that suited them. And the same 10th Assembly come to look at it and say, no, this thing will not suit us, because some of them are coming from different background. Now, especially the newly elected and all that, they will say, oh, this thing will not suit us. We don't like it like this. Let's put it like this. They are not making laws that will suit the common Nigerian. Otherwise, they would have made law that will stop police from collecting bribe on the road. Because in Nigeria today, in as much as it is not captured in our constitution, but it is a legal thing for police to collect money on the road. Even when they see you, they don't know you, they suspect that you might be they still collect it. Which means nothing will happen. Why can't National Assembly make law that will stop police from collecting money on the road from commuters? Why wouldn't they make law that will stop police from collecting money from the counter on bail? They say constitution say bail is free, but bail is never free in Nigeria. Why can't 10th Assembly? You, Philip, tell Carlo that because if you call me, I'll give you areas where I think the Nigerian constitution need to be amended. Even in fact, some areas you need to bring fresh laws into bear. Because what you are amending are laws that will put food on your table, not laws that will better the masses, the Nigerian masses. And that's where I have been in the National Assembly House Committee on Senate on one of their public hearing. And some of the things we brought up there, they never saw light of the day. As we finished our argument in that place and all that, we had issues with some of their chiefs and all that. At the end, nothing showed up. So what are you telling me? If you are saying that you have confidence in Carlo to carry out this constitutional amendment and all that, no problem. But I believe that he's amending constitution for his people. But he said something that I would like Nigerians to pick from here. Said that people should go to their constituency offices. So if you are from Ijo, go to your representative. If you are from Hausa, go to your representative. If you are from Igbo, go to your representative. Anywhere you are from, if you think you are being marginalized, go and hold your representative accountable. Hold the man whom you voted, whether you voted him or they gave him to you. Because this 2023 election is something else. No, anybody who is coming to say, I was voted, they are joking. Because the few that were voted, we know them. Other ones were forced on us. But whether the rep member was forced on you or not, go to him, hold him accountable. Put your needs on a paper and present to him. Oga, please take this thing to Abuja. Let the House Committee on Constitutional Amendment attend to it. And if Nigerians will begin to do it, though we are too hungry to act, let me just be frank to us. Nigerians are too hungry to act, and the elites know it. You can imagine if someone is living maybe in Akukutoro and he needs to come out to the local government headquarters where the constitutional office of the House of Rep member might be. How much will he pay to travel from Kola to Abonima? How much will he pay to travel from Elem Sangama to Abonima? So when you consider that this person might be paying up to 5,000 to and fro 10,000 on a boat, and he does not have it. How will he come? Okay, those in the upland, maybe you are from Ogoni, and you need to come to Bori. The person will travel from Sogo to Bori. How much will he pay? And this person has good things in his head, but there's no money in his pocket. We are too hungry to act. But I pray that why this is going on, because if this government, the way I'm looking at it, they are deliberate in dealing with Nigerians. Very, very deliberate. President Tinubu is deliberate. All the people he put to power, they are all deliberate in dealing with Nigerians, and it will not be long. I will be one of the people who will stand in the forefront of calling them enemies of the people, enemies of Nigeria.
All right, on that note, we'll take a quick break, but when we come back, Atiku and the presidency bicker over a state of economy, but that will be after the break. Stay with us.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome back to Atlantic Blowout, everyone. Now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do something fast to save Nigeria's economy. Why the presidency says Atiku's claims that the private sector is shrinking and that multinational companies are leaving our countries in droves are not grounded on facts. Well, Atiku via his ex-handle on Sunday on a post on his ex said the presidency must act fast before the economy sinks deeper into the abyss. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party said 2023 election that he said the intense cost of living pressures has created more misery for the poor in towns and villages. Atiku said there is hunger in the land as basic commodities, including bread, are becoming out of reach for the average Nigerian. He said Tinubu's 2024 budget is a business-as-usual exercise bereft of concrete ideas and actions that would support Nigeria's journey towards economic transformation, consisting mainly of wasteful expenditures to cater to a bloated federal government. He said budget 2024 will not facilitate growth and cannot empower our citizens to earn a living and live a decent life. He said to mask their failures, but Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is, and his political appointees are busy blaming his predecessor in office for bequeathing a dead economy. Atiku said this is a familiar game popularized by former President Buhari while in office. It reinforces what we already know, that Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into office unprepared. Presidency now replies Atiku. So in response, by Ananuga, special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, said Atiku's latest diatribe was another uncharitable commentary on the state of the economy and the efforts of the President Bola Tinubu administration remolding it for sustained prosperity. He said Nigerians can easily see through the hypocrisy of Alhaji Atiku, who in accusing President Tinubu of poor response to the nation's challenges and causing pains and despite didn't offer any better policy options in his run for the presidency, different from the economic reform agenda being pursued by President Tinubu. Onanuga said all the major candidates agreed that the fuel subsidy regime, which had become an albatross on the economy, must end. They all agreed that the multiple exchange rate must be fixed. Where President Tinubu and Atiku differed was in selling NNPCL and the other national assets. Atiku went for this so he could sell these imported national assets to his friends and cronies. President Tinubu removed the subsidy from day one and announced moves to harmonize the exchange rate. Since then, he and his economic team have been working vigorously to harmonize the rates and also end the rampant and criminal arbitrage that the multiple windows allowed. President Tinubu acknowledged on different occasions that the reforms his government is implementing will cause immediate pains, but will usher in an era of more prosperity in the medium and long term. His claim that the government policies have created intense cost of living pressures are also not grounded on facts, as recent comparative cost of living indices show that Nigerians still enjoy the lowest cost of living in Africa. I would have loved to ask, is Bola Onanuga living in Nigeria? Well, but I remember that he is the president's special advisor on special communication.
Maybe he was making this comment, this statement, while he was in France, in Paris with Mr. President. And the truth is that Onanuga, I believe, is trying to justify his appointment.
Yeah,
so
he's the aide on special communication.
Yeah, and he's just speaking in order to prove to Mr. President that you are not paying me for nothing. I can attack anybody who attacks you. But when Onanuga says that Nigerians are having a better living condition now
than other Africans,
Onanuga should bury his head in shame. Let me say this categorically to Onanuga. Onanuga, a basin of Gary is costing 10,000. Onanuga, a loaf of bread is 1,500 naira. Onanuga, a sachet of Milo that is not up to 1 spoon is sold for 150 naira. Onanuga, a liter of fuel is sold for 700 naira. Onanuga, nobody buys full tank anymore. And you are telling Nigerians that their better condition of living is, condition of living is better now. Onanuga, you have spoken like a man who is dreaming, and the truth is that you are dreaming. And why you are saying this is because why I'm now saying this direct to you is that you have provoked me. I'm a pastor who have congregation, people I care for. Sometimes I give them food to eat, and you are coming to tell us that in Tinubu government that Nigeria is having a better living condition. Onanuga, the truth is that you are not on ground. Attacking Atiku is a different ball game. You can play your politics, but don't play politics with Nigerian stomach. Don't do that.
You know what I find interesting again in this conversation between the presidency and Atiku Abubakar is this. Atiku said that Tinubu was not prepared for coming into government, and that the indices on ground economically is showing that truly he wasn't prepared for government. I would expect Onanuga to say,
tell us that you are prepared.
You cannot say that.
That we are not prepared.
This man is experienced. These are the things he brought on board. He even literally affirmed what Atiku said. When he said that the president is doing this now, immediately remove the fuel. So it means that before removing fuel, the president didn't know where he was going to.
At all.
So the big question is, in all of the long speech, what has Onanuga tried? How did he even, how was he able to counter Atiku's position, which is the biggest fact that Nigerians are querying as well? Was this man prepared for governance, to be the president before coming in?
My joy is that Onanuga's defense of the presidency and President Tinubu has exposed them more to Nigerians. And my joy is that this thing is in the national dailies. So it is in public domain. Nigerians are reading. And those who are reading, some of them who have not eaten their breakfast are reading where Ononuga is saying that Nigeria is having a better living condition. Now, they are reading all these things. If Atiku says that Tinubu is not prepared for the office he came to occupy, the truth is this: Atiku got it right. Just as Buhari was not prepared when he came, and he did all he did, I think that thing he has been looking for. There is an adage in Igbo language that says, when a child eats that thing that has kept him awake all through, he will sleep. Buhari can now go and rest, isn't it? Because he has come to bastardize the system, polarize the system, causing security every here and there, imported foreigners to kill Nigerians. I think he has succeeded, and he has gone home to rest. And Tinubu has come to say, it is my turn. He came to power. The very day he was to swear, he was to be sworn in, he announced that subsidy has been removed. You forgot that the past government, it will still run to a certain, subsidy will still run to a certain time. You remove subsidy in the immediate, and people started suffering. All the money you have recovered from somebody, where are they? This money is not supposed to be helping Nigerians. Tell me how much Tinubu government can say they have recovered from subsidy. The suffering that Nigerians have gone through for about 8 months now, where can Tinubu government say, yes, when you look this area, you see what we have done? What have they achieved? Absolutely nothing. Simply recovering the money they have looted. I mean, they spent in election. And not only recovering the money, impoverishing Nigerians the more. Because if anybody tells me that we're expecting anything good from Tinubu government, I doubt. Except if God decides to help us. So Atiku is right in his claims against the government, and Onanuga is trying to save his office by trying to defend Mr. President and defend the policies they are bringing. But we know that the policies of Mr. President are very harsh on Nigerians. These policies are harsh, these policies are painful, these policies are dealing with us. How can you imagine this? That a man who goes on a rescue mission kills the people he came to rescue. Because that is what Mr. President Bola Tinubu is coming to do. Hey, I want to rescue Nigeria, I want to turn situations around, and all that, and you came and you inflict hardship on us that Nigerians are now dying. Day by day, people are dying, not dying out of sickness, but dying out of insecurity, dying out of hunger.
All right. We'll continue to bring you all of the conversation as the presidency and Atiku Bika. I bet you there will be more on this. Now, the Arawa Economic Forum has calls for the establishment of regional security outfits to complement the efforts of the Nigerian military and police in fighting the rising insecurity in northern parts of the country. Arawa Economic Forum Chairman Malam Ibrahim Yahaya Dan Dakata said in a statement over the weekend, he said the 19 northern states need to adopt the concept of regional security outfits in the like of successful models like Amotekun security network in the southwest. He said these outfits should leverage local knowledge and understanding to allow for more nuanced responses to diverse security threats, foster collaboration and resource sharing among northern states, thereby maximizing impact and efficiency. The initiative will also empower communities by integrating existing vigilante groups into the system. In the long run, establishing a dedicated security trust fund is crucial to support the effectiveness of these outfits. The fund can ensure sustainable financing for training, equipment, and operational costs by pulling resources from state governments, donations, and other sources. That because of their financial stability, the security outfits will have more autonomy and are less dependent on the federal government, which has frequently shown signs of being overburdened when handling requests for regional security. That once security is guaranteed, the NUP may finally concentrate on realizing its enormous potential, that our people are resourceful, our land is fertile, and there is no denying our business drive. He said on the economy, we must modernize our agricultural sector by investing in technology and infrastructure that boosts yields and decrease post-harvest losses to maximize and make the most significant use of our rich resources. In addition, he said to ensuring food security, They still strengthen rural economies and generate jobs. And notwithstanding, our leaders, wealthy and competent people, must adopt the mindset of promoting and aiding some and medium-sized businesses, which are the foundation of any thriving economy, through the streamlining of regulatory procedures, of finance accessibility, and the promotion of innovative culture. We can unleash the creative potential of our people as quickly as possible. However, prioritizing education is necessary to guarantee that every child gets access to high-quality instruction. This entails investing in curriculum development, instructors, classrooms, and laboratories. It also means maintaining a solid connection to our rich cultural past while embracing science and technology. This conversation about establishing an hermetical kind of a security outfit in the northern region brings to the concern why we're having this conversation. In that same northern part of the country, there is the hijab, there's this security, kind of a regional security, these people who destroy drinks and all of that. Now, that's a security, a regional security outfit. As I'm wondering, with that, and the number of military personnel domiciled in the north, in the different parts of the northern parts of the country, why, and then the plans to also have the forest hunters and other plans that the president is making, why is this a call that, it's called hijab police, I think. Why is he not talking about improving on that? Why is he talking about creating an hermetical kind of a different regional policing apparatus, if you may? Why is that conversation coming up now?
You know, Ibrahim Dandakata actually was trying to point out something that was reasonable. But when you look at it, you now begin to doubt the sincerity behind his claims or demand. Because if Ibrahim Dandakata actually want to be sincere to himself, I would believe that he should have worked on what they have on ground. Because in the north, we have the highest presence of the security apparatus. In the north, we just saw, was it in Katsina or thereabout, where they just had about 1,000 police constabularies. And recently we saw the Mieti Allah training,
establishing
a security outfit as well. And when you look at all these establishments here and there, now we saw some last time on social media how troops of Fulani extraction wearing some of our Nigerian military camouflage, entering into the bush with all manner of ammunitions. We've seen them in social media celebrating their victory in Plateau State and all that, in military wears and all that. And you see all these things happening, you begin to doubt if Ibrahim Dandakata actually know that these things are happening. What are you trying to tell Nigerians when you are talking about establishing a kind of a moteku, kind of police, kind of security outfit in the north? Are you trying to deceive us? Are you trying to divert attention? Because if the north was just left like that, I would say yes, what Dandakata was saying is true and should be given a listening ear. But the truth is that there is no sincerity in that. If there is sincerity, let him tell us what those Fulanis who are in the bush wearing military camouflage are doing. Let him tell us what the Mieti Allah security outfit are doing. Let him tell us what the 1,000 police constabularies are doing. Let him, or even the hijab police and all that, let them come to tell us what they are doing. Because if you want to emulate what the Yoruba states, the Western states have adopted as a moteku, now you want it to be given to you, what will you call your own? If you call your own another name, what happens to all these fragments of other security outfits that are there, which you people know and you people are protecting? Now, we are suspicious of most of the things they do, and they say we shouldn't say it on air. Why will we not say it? And they will say whatever they want to say and post it on air. When we come to talk, they should know what they are doing. You want to overrun Nigeria, but the truth is that it is impossible.
I was just going to ask, why do you have the North critical of every idea that government is bringing to the fore. A particular example is the critics, the alarm being raised about the regional, not the regional, the CBN, the move of the CBN and all of the policies of the government. Why is it that these groups always see things from is against the North? Like every action of government that doesn't seem to directly favor them is against the North. Why can't we have these groups speaking on the national front, like other groups from the Niger Delta, the Southeast, and what have you? Why do we always, or the Adawa, the Afenifere, for instance, why don't we have them speaking with the nationalistic view on issues?
This is 50-something years after the Civil War.
Okay.
What Ikemba Odumegwu Chukwuemeka Ojukwu saw 50-something years ago is just what we are coming to see today. Look at it. The North believes that Nigeria is theirs. If you claim that Nigeria is your own, and we say, okay, well, leave us, let us go and look for our own country, why are you against it? If you claim that you cannot be a second fiddle in Nigeria, that you must always be at the top, when Buhari was there, everything was okay for you. To the extent that even when the southern governors stood against open grazing, the Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, came to say that if it is ever implemented in the South, that they will ban motor spare parts selling in the North. If you ban motor spare parts selling in the North, you will either not drive a car or you will come to the South and buy. Yes. Why is it that everything that happened, you say against the North, and everything North is doing is okay? All the military formation is in the North, and nobody is talking. And you are establishing more, even universities. Even our own brother, Chibika Amechi, came and established Northern University of Transport in the North, and you're okay with it. And anything that wants to come to South, you say it is against the North. Look at moving CBN from Abuja to Lagos is against the North. And in Dume came up to threatening the federal government, and nobody has asked him question.
So the question again is, can we really say that we are one Nigeria?
We are not one Nigeria.
All right. On that note,
we can only be one Nigeria any time a generation come up to say, and it has to come from the generation of the elders who will educate their young ones and say, please, we are one. Look, I have lived in the North. I travel to the North. In fact, if not for this insecurity, I would say that there is more peace in the North than South. Because the Northerners have a way of living their lives. But look at how insecurity has come to polarize everything. That if you are in fact, if you travel to Castina now, before you step out, you have to ask questions. And as you are moving, you are calling, oh boy, how is this place? How is this place? Otherwise, you can't stay. You can't stay. Because there is no how in the present dispensation any meaningful right-thinking person will come and say that we have one Nigeria. We don't have one Nigeria. It is because Tinubu has now come a Southerner, and now any policy Tinubu wants to bring is against the North. And when they begin to talk, they begin to back themselves up. We cannot take this, for God's sake. If they don't do it one day, in fact, I have to give credit to ESN. On air, I have to give credit to ESN and let that credit be given to Nnamdi Kanu, who formed ESN. If not, the Fulanis, the killer herdsmen would have overrun the Southeast. But ESN stopped them. And the entire South, Southeast, Southwest should be very, very grateful to ESN. And clap for those people because they helped us. Otherwise, these people would have turned us into something else. Look at what is happening in the present, and yet they are still complaining. Okay, if you form a Moteku in the North, then there will be peace everywhere. The killer herdsmen will no longer be there. Niger State will become calm. Katsina State will become calm.
Now,
it is not true.
Speaking of challenges in this country, let's quickly look at something about the EFCC story that we saw in the news over the weekend. So, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission said it has recovered over 30 billion naira from the 37,170,855,753 naira 44 kobo that was allegedly laundered in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs under the former minister Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk. The EFCC said the commission had also uncovered over 500 million naira from the scam associated with Umar Farouk's successor, Betta Edu, who was recently suspended by President Bola Tinubu. Now, according to a report in December 2023, 37 billion naira infraction was transferred from government coffers and sent to 38 different bank accounts domiciled in 5 legacy commercial banks belonging to or connected with the contractor, James Okwete. And on Friday, 30 billion naira was recovered by the EFCC following the replacement of a lien on the bank accounts of Umar Farouk and Okwete, who are still being grilled by the anti-graft agency's investigators. The agency is also still drilling Edu in connection with an alleged 117 billion naira fraud, while the suspended coordinator of the National Social Investment Program, Halima Shehu, is also still being questioned over an alleged 44 billion naira fraud. However, the chairman of the EFCC, Ola Olukayode, at a dialogue in Abuja, said most of the 747 convictions involved persons who were prosecuted for cybercrime offences, adding that the commission has deepened its probe into money laundering cases involving some high-profile public officials, especially former governors and ministers indicted for fraud. Okay, now. So, last year, the story broke that about 37 billion some fraction was found in fund made for poverty alleviation, by the way, social scheme in connection with Hajia Farouk, Umar Farouk, but nothing really came out of that. Now we are learning that it became a major part of the news sometime last month, and now we are learning that about 30 billion of that has been recovered. Should we begin to say, yeah, Olukayode seems to know what he's going on about? Why are you chuckling like that?
You know, Nigeria is just a drama stage. Yes. And it is good that it is playing. But the truth is that we who are watching, the spectators, are not happy. We are not enjoying the game. First and foremost, I commend the EFCC chairman for his dogged work. When the former EFCC chairman came up, we felt that he will, being a youth, that he will produce something, but at the end of the day, he looked like Magu, his former boss. And this one has come now to recover 30 billion out of 37 billion. I trust that he will also recover the remaining ones. But look at it. The people who are maltreating Nigerians from the Ministry of Humanitarian Ministry, they are beautiful women that are demonic in their hearts. Because look at it, this money is supposed to go to the poorest of the poor. And these women who claim that they are mothers, they have the compassionate heart of a mother, are the ones who are laundering this money. They are the ones who are eating this money. They are the ones who are sharing this money. And they are leaving the poor Nigerians who were employed in Empower and all that, common 30,000 naira per month. Those that were employed last year, last 2 years, do you know, if I may tell you, because I have some of them who rely on me and tell me their stories. Only 4 months was paid, and the last one was paid on 23rd of December, 30,000. And all the other, out of 2 years program, you paid 4 months. So 20 months have entered their pocket. And now look at it. You have discovered all this. Farouk is still being grilled. Halima is being grilled. Edu is being grilled. You will discover that at the end of the day, this thing might not see light of day. And if this thing should sink into the drain, what is the hope of the common people? So it is an issue. I know it's it.
Okay, so here is a concern with this revelation. Several accounts linked directly or indirectly to Okwete and Umar Farouk, where that's where they found this money.
Okay.
Now you're talking about Edu, 17 billion, 500 million, 3 billion endorsed by Chief of Staff, Bajabia Amila, and you're talking about Halima Shehu, 44 billion and all of that. So now that the EFCC have talked about banks and the way this money are being transferred, I know that when you're opening an account, one of the things the account officer tells you is that how much is it, like the highest amount you're
This account
expecting
can carry.
in this account. Sometimes you say you don't really know. They will say, oh, there's need to peg it. Because when a certain amount of money enters into that account, you'll have to put a stop on it.
Yeah.
Now, with this level of atrocities in the name of financial crime being committed against the masses, you just talked about the Empower and we're talking about the social register. This is one ministry that someone with a human heart should be heading. But unfortunately, from the time of the creation of this and to the second, remember during the COVID-19, it was like, how are you feeding children who were at home? Nigerian raised several alarm. Nothing or none of this touched the Buhari government. And then suddenly, we have another one. We have a Halima of 44 billion. We have an Edu of 17 billion, 500 million, and 3 billion. Just figures being bandied about everywhere. We are not worried to say that if the banks, being Nigerian banks, can be used to perpetrate such crimes against the Nigerian masses, what can be done to ensure that the policies of accounting process in terms of finances in the bank accounts, certain bank accounts can be checked? What can be done to ensure that a bank caught in the mix of this? Because in all fairness, walking into a banking hall, you cannot say you don't know who your customer is because you have their database. Every bank that I have done business with have my database. They know what I do. They ask you all these questions. A particular bank will ask you questions that what I was wondering, what do you need all of this for? If all of these policies are in place, so the banks are still being used to portray this crime, what do we now need to do to ensure that when such crimes are committed, the banks are held liable as partners in the crime being committed?
Remember that the banks control the financial economy.
We agree.
And in Nigeria, now money they talk. Now this is where we need to understand some of these things. Nigerian law is meant for the poor. Please, whether you like it or not, Nigerian law is meant for the poor. When a poor man goes to bank to open an account, I went to Stanbic IPT to open a certain current account. If you see requirements, in fact, when I brought some of the referees, at a point they called me that they did not accept this, they did not accept it. I left the thing and the little money I kept there. I left the bank. I said, what kind of stress is this? What kind of stress? You are putting me through these stresses. At the end of the day, they still use you to launder money. Why should I? In fact, all you need to do is, since you are now doing it, anybody that comes, let him write his name and give you his picture. You give him you generate an account number for him. Yes, because look at last year or thereabout, there was an online scheme, something that I think by name Hive was using Wema Bank to defraud people.
Okay, let's leave
and when you go to that bank to ask questions, they'll tell you we don't know them. We don't know them. And look at it now.
But they had accounts in the bank.
You have account. They have account with you. You're supposed to have all their details as you had mine. Why is it that you are demanding my details when I come to open account with you? You catch all my fingerprints, you do everything, you get all my biometrics, but when it comes to these people, you don't know again. Okay, look at billions of naira. We are hearing that these people were moved. Okwete and Farouk having how many bank accounts, and all this money were going into their accounts, and nobody was talking. EFCC was not seeing it. Banks, they say, well, if they want to move some money to me, if they are transferring above 5 million, EFCC should be involved. How come that EFCC does not know when billions are entering these things? You see that these things are game. They are all scam. Yes, they are all scam. If they are not, thank God for the new EFCC man. If he can be able to capture all these monies, I still pray that he should be able to. When a certain money exceeds a certain amount and you are not put in the know, please go after the sender and the receiver. Yes.
Okay.
Let the person explain to you the source of the money and what the money is meant for. Okay. Until we begin to tell ourselves the truth, things will continue to go this way in Nigeria.
Speaking of money, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has advised President Bola Tinubu to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, and the appropriate anti-corruption agencies to promptly probe the allegations that $3.4 billion billion loan obtained from the International Monetary Fund is missing, diverted, or unaccounted for. This is coming after the 2020 annual audited reports published last week by the Auditor General of the Federation. Documents revealed that there was no document to show the movement and spending of the IMF loan, and urging him to ensure that everyone suspected to be responsible should face prosecution as appropriate. If there is sufficient admissible evidence, and any missing IMF loan should be fully recovered and returned to the public treasury. In the letter dated 3rd of February 2024 and signed by SERAP Deputy Director Kolawale Oluwadare, the organization said there is a legitimate public interest in ensuring justice and accountability for the serious allegations, while important measures would end the impunity of perpetrators. According to SERAP, any failure to investigate these grave allegations brings suspected perpetrators to justice and recover any missing IMF loan would have serious resource allocation and exacerbates the country's debt burden, while the Auditor General recommends that the money be fully recovered and remitted to the public treasury, and those suspected to be involved sanctioned and handed over to anti-corruption agencies. The allegations suggest a grave violation of the public trust and the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, while the country's anti-corruption legislation and international anti-corruption obligations included UN Convention Against Corruption. A quick one, Rev. You mean that $3.4 billion loan, IMF loan, not even our own crude money, a loan? You're telling us that according to the 2020 audited accounts, you cannot trace where the money is, basically.
And the loan was issued.
Of course. It's how much of a joke are we to ourselves and before the Committee of Nations?
Yes, we are making ourselves a laughing stock anyway, because when other people are looking at us and seeing things that are happening in our government, they believe that we are problem of ourselves. And also, you see what, in fact, I thank Sarah for opening up all these things. But the truth is that when you are telling a judge to give judgment on issue or a case that concerns his relation, I think you are telling the judge to do something sinister. So in this case, it is obvious that these monies are going on like that. Because if you are looking for this, there are others too. Have you asked yourself questions where all the looted funds, that the recovered loots are entering into? What have they shown you that they use those recovered loots to do? Nothing. They don't use them, they still share them among themselves. But the question is this: what will these people do with money? How many years will they live with it? Tinubu amassed much wealth. Tinubu is old. If Tinubu survives in the next 15 years, he will look like Juju. Yes, because age must tell on him. He will soon leave the earth. I will soon leave, because age is also coming. But all this money we are amassing, who are we amassing it for? If not that we are just demonic in our mind, we are fulfilling the agenda of Satan to impoverish people, put Africans in the pain. Thank God for Christianity, which has come to teach us hope, and also believe that God loves us, that even though we suffer here on earth, we will enjoy in heaven. That one is giving us the slight hope that we are still surviving with. But for the government, honestly, they have really messed us up. So SERAP is speaking out, and they're also making us know that these things are happening, even though we are not expecting anything out of it. You are asking the what's it called, the Chief Justice. Yeah. Okay, Tinubu should mandate the Chief Justice to go, and prosecute in fact, investigate the fund and bring it out, or punish the perpetrators. What kind of punishment will you give to them? What kind of punishment will you give to the perpetrators if you find them?
Can we just have our money back?
From who? What if those whom you are asking to look for the money are in custody of the money?
There was a former minister of finance in this country.
Yes.
So what are we saying, from who?
And they shared it among themselves.
So that woman should come out and begin to tell us where the money is. Have we not gotten 30 billion back?
Does Tinubu have the political will to summon that woman who served under Buhari?
Well, the time will tell.
Because you see, that these are people who are working in synergy. Yes, they are working in collaboration.
But Umar Farouk is being investigated.
The reason is because of the way the thing got connected.
In what sense?
Had even Edu was in the clique, these things wouldn't have come up.
Okay.
It was Edu who now had to look at Halima. Halima, when she was exposing Edu, she never knew that the hook will connect her. She felt that since Edu is now moving this 500 million, and let me also move these other ones, and she moved them, and she informed some of the directors. They were aware. She wasn't moving the money with intention of taking it, but she was moving it to save it from Edu. But when the thing now got Edu, it hooked her. We now see 44 billion.
17 billion.
Yes,
3 billion, 500 million.
Though it's just something else.
May God have mercy.
God will have to help Nigeria. So we need to keep praying. If you're a Muslim, pray to Allah. If you are a Christian, pray to God. If you're a traditional worshiper, pray to Ahmadiyya. Let them come and help us.
And that's how we wrap up on Atlantic Blowout this morning. Reverend Nze, it's always refreshing and an honor to host you on Atlantic Blowout. So thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. It's my
honor. That's
been
our show, everyone. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but